All right, with all this Giannis trade talk, oh, by the way, it's the NBA draft tonight, first round, that is. We look forward to seeing if anybody's bets cashes, because I didn't end up making the 1, 2, 3, 4, and I hate myself for it. James Barlow joins us now, NBA draft consultant over there at NBA Draft Junkies. You can follow him on Twitter at Draft Junkie James. He joins us now courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. Good morning, James. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing? Really appreciate you for having me on.
Thanks for making the time. Before we get to your draft thoughts, Giannis to the Heat. Did you anticipate that? And how do you see this working out for the Heat?
The reports were the Heat or the Celtics. It felt like the Heat had more to offer as far as like young guys and picks. Obviously, they acquired a 13th pick. What do I think? Well, if it were 2-on-2, I think the Heat would probably be the favorites to win the NBA championship. But it's 5-on-5. They don't have a lot of money left to spend, and you're going to try to have to piece around Giannis and Bam. So it's great on paper, but I don't think it's going to. I don't think they're a threat to the Knicks right now.
Talk to me about tonight, man, because as of right now in the betting markets, AJ Debance, the kid out of BYU, he's minus 700 to go number one overall. Darren Peterson minus 250. So that means Debance to Washington, Peterson to Utah. Take away just how you think it's actually going to play out. If you were in the situation of these GMs, where would you look for the order to be between Debance and Peterson here tonight?
You know, I think it's a lot closer than what people think. I think Debance, we look at him being healthier throughout that freshman season at BYU, and then we look at like an injured Darren Peterson. But when you go back to their high school tape, I think Darren Peterson has outplayed AJ Debance almost at every stop. And then when they did face up head to head, he did outplay him for that one half that he was available. But even with all that said, I just think that the Wizards are going to lean towards Debance. It's just hard to deny somebody 6'9" with that athletic, with that much talent to be able to put the ball on the ground. And you just kind of go with the taller player, the better athlete who, I mean, in his own right, he averages 25 a game. So I definitely think it's going to go Debance 1, Peterson 2.
Is it Boozer 3, Wilson 4, James?
Yeah, I think Boozer 3, Wilson 4. I almost feel like Wilson might as well have his house in Chicago already picked out just because, you know, it's been that way for some time. But yeah, it's Debance 1, Peterson 2, Boozer 3, Wilson 4, and then the draft really starts at 5.
And who, in your opinion, then, right now, if you're reading the tea leaves, who goes 5th to the Clippers?
Well, I know the Clippers really, really like Michael Brown Jr., but I also feel like they really like Keaton Wagler from Illinois. Surprise out of nowhere. I mean, if you were talking about some betting, I think he probably could have made somebody a millionaire if you picked his odds on being a lottery pick this time last year. But I definitely think it's between those two. Brooklyn kind of threw a wrench in things by trading away their starting center. Now they only have one center on the roster, so maybe Adai Mara is an option at 6. But from what I understand, is between Wagler and Brown Jr. at 5 for the Clippers.
Okay, that leads me to number 7, where all the smoke is saying Sacramento loves Darius Acuff. And when I look at the New York Knicks and Jalen Brunson, I don't know how there isn't more of a correlation in the dog, the point guard, a guy who can get buckets, and Acuff, who's a little bit undersized at 6'2" to play point guard. Do you believe there's any chance that Acuff goes before 7, even if that means Sacramento having to trade up? But do you believe he can go within the top 6 picks in this draft? Because his number in the draft market was set at 6.5.
Yeah, I think there is a world where he does go to the Brooklyn Nets, but at the same time, from what I understand, the Kings aren't going to trade up because they're going to get a very good point guard prospect regardless of who is there. There's a world where it's Kingston Flemings, where it's Michael Brown Jr., where it's Darius Acuff. I know Michael Brown Jr. didn't work out for the Kings, but you're Sacramento. That doesn't stop you from drafting anybody because you need guys. But the rumors are the Kings love Darius Acuff. I think their only hurdle from drafting him will be the Brooklyn Nets, but also the Brooklyn Nets have been really kind of hard to get a read on what they're trying to do tonight. So yeah, it's definitely Acuff a possibility, but I do think he will be a Sacramento King.
By the way, at shops like DraftKings and FanDuel, you can bet the first 5 exacta, which we were talking about, so not just the first 4, which is now a prohibitive price. But your 2 options, James, at with either Keaton Vogler or Mikael Brown Jr. at 5. The Debansa, Peterson, Boozer, Wilson, Wagler, exactas plus 170. With Mikael Brown Jr. at 5, it is plus 320. One of those, I believe you are correct. One of those, reading the tea leaves, is going to hit. I thought Wagler would drop, but the latest buzz is that he may not go past 6. Is there a player later than the top group of draft picks? So late for top 10, maybe beyond the top 10, that is the most associated with a team. In other words, you know that if this player is available for this team at, say, 11, 12, 13, they're absolutely picking him.
It feels like it's Ademar from Michigan to Golden State at 11. Kristaps Porzingis is, I think he played 32 games last year, so he's unreliable there, and he's an unrestricted free agent. And when you look at the Warriors timeline, they still have Stephen Curry for 2 more years. They still have a lot of money tied to Jimmy Butler. I think Draymond's going to have to restructure his deal. So you kind of need somebody who's young but can still play right away. And with Mara, he reminds me a lot of what Andrew Bogut provided for the Warriors when they won their 2015 championship. 7-footer, very good passer, very good defender. The post game it looks good. The result isn't always what you want it to be, but in Golden State, we're not really throwing you the ball for you to finish in the post. That's for Steph to run off of 1,000 screens, and you got to run into Draymond a few times before Steph takes a shot. But I think that feels like the best bet for me. Where I'm like, you know what, that's a match made in heaven, and that is the decision that they're going to make. But again, the Nets do a wrench in things, but I do feel like Mara at 11 feels like a certainty.
Plus 550, by the way, on that.
Wow. Real quickly, you're based in Dallas. New head coach Dusty May takes over. They pick 9th. How do you think that impacts what they're looking at number 9? Could it be Lendenborg from Michigan traveling with his head coach to the Mavericks?
I don't think Lendenborg is an option here. The history on 23-year-olds being drafted in the NBA is not very promising as far as like them panning out. I do think Lendenborg is going to be a really good player, but the timeline just doesn't make sense for me. Your best player, he's like 4 years older than Cooper Flagg. So I think it's going to be a young guy. Dusty May, while he does have a lot of insight, he's a little late to the party. The Mavs have been preparing for this for a month and a half now. I do think it may end up being Braden Burries or Nate Ament from Tennessee. I think they'll listen to Dusty, but if they were to select a Michigan guy, maybe it's Morris Johnson Jr. instead of the actual Lendenborg.
James, appreciate it. Thank you so much for making the time. Enjoyed the draft tonight.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me in.
James Barlow, everybody, from NBA Draft Junkies. You can follow him on Twitter at DraftJunkieJames. Like that Twitter handle. You're here because you want an edge. That's what separates listeners from winners. But let's be real, mindset alone doesn't get bets home. Pros win because they've got the tools, the data, and the discipline. And now so can you. VSiN Pro gives you access to the same real-time insights the sharps use. No secrets, no fluff, just actionable info that moves markets. Tap the link and see why serious bettors are turning knowledge into profit with VSiN Pro.
You work hard to keep your family healthy. You eat clean, stay active, ask questions, and want the freedom to make the best decisions for their healthcare. So why does the traditional system still feel so expensive and disconnected from actual care? Crowd Health is different. Built for families, entrepreneurs, and independent-minded people, Crowd Health is a community of more than 28,000 members helping fund each other's medical bills directly without restrictive networks or corporate middlemen standing in the way. Over 40,000 medical bills have already been funded. It's not health insurance. It's a simpler, more human way to pay for healthcare. You choose any doctor you want. Plus, a dedicated care advocate helps you navigate every step of the way. Because communities take better care of each other than corporations do. If you've ever felt frustrated with the traditional system, it's time to see why thousands of people are choosing something different. Learn more at joincrowdhealth.com. That's joincrowdhealth.com.
The numbers told the story, they always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is A Numbers Game with Gil Alexander on VSiN.
Hour number 2 of A Numbers Game at VSiN, the sports betting network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, Sirius XM Channel 158, Gil Alexander. That right there is Dustin Sweetelson, everybody. Kelly Bidlin on assignment. Dustin, yeoman's effort. How'd the first hour go? You okay? You all right?
It's not about the first hour of the show. It was more about the alarm going off this morning. You have to adjust your routine when you're normally the late night guy, and then you fill in on this show.
Yeah.
This is the most difficult of the schedules.
Thank you.
I even would say that the show prior to you, if it was still West Coast based,
dude,
I think that would actually still be easier mentally for me because I just have those reps from Follow the Money back in there. I think you're in no man's land where like you wanna sleep in a little bit, but you can't because my alarm went off at 4 this morning. I needed to catch up on anything I missed overnight.
Mitch and Paul's last day, I paid tribute to them because I'm like, I don't know how those guys did that for 7 years, West Coast time. Because we get up early for this show. I can't imagine what that was like.
I did it for 3, and it took years off my life, and I didn't have that many to give.
Yeah. You know what I used to do? This and an afternoon show for 3 hours for 2 years.
That was crazy.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
That was
Yeah.
Also, what happened to your life?
Nothing. I had no life. None. Fell asleep. I would be on the phone with my mom, and I would start snoring in the middle of it. We get tweets of Beating the Book. By the way, Drew Dinsick standing by, as well as a little later on, we're going to talk with Paul Carr about the World Cup. We'll go through more NFL betting guide things as well. Brian M., there are no active hurricanes, which is why Kelly Bidlin's location is unknown. That's right. Wherever he goes, there's an active hurricane. So we don't have one yet. So we don't know where he is. Numbers, guys. Why do you hate Wyatt so much, Gil? He seems like a nice enough sort. That being said, Dustin's killing it. So question to you, Gilly, who's the preferred producer in the Wings? There is no producer in the Wings. Kelly's not going anywhere. I have that in my head. But
And also, the reason that he doesn't hate Wyatt Tomczyk yet is because he doesn't know Wyatt Tomczyk yet.
I love Wyatt Tomczyk. Why do you hate Wyatt so much? Because Wyatt comes in for a day, sticks and moves in for certain segments. Love Wyatt. Patrick Kelly. Dustin should go on assignment. Giants training camps at the Greenbrier in West Virginia. Ooh, that's nice.
West Virginia's nice?
Well, Greenbrier's nice.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I've never been, but I'm told it's nice.
They must have a good dentist in that town. It's that feels like...
Isn't the Greenbrier where they have like that presidential bunker underneath it? Where like if there's a national panic, that's where the president goes?
Well, if our enemies are listening right now, they now know where it is too, Gil.
You can't get to it. Yeah. Did I just reveal secrets? And by the way, Shrek McPhee says, did I miss tennis for the day? It was all overnight, or it started before this show started. We end up 2-1 because Laura Sigemund, who was getting medical timeout, she couldn't get to the finish line. So we end up 2-1. And Anna Bondar walked off the court, so we could have been 3-1. But instead, it's a 2-1, and our 6-match streak comes to an end. But still a winning day. Drew Dinsick joins us now. Speaking of tennis, we'll get to some Wimbledon later with him because we won't get a chance to talk Wimbledon with Drew at the end of the week because the Wimbledon draw comes out early Friday morning, and hey, it's the weekend. So Drew will be traveling, so we can't do that. So we'll get his thoughts on that in the second segment. But Drew, good morning to you. First of all, Whale_Capper, Deep Dive Podcast, which he does with Andy Molitor, NBC Sports Bet the Edge, which he does with Jay Croucher. Drew, before we get to the draft tonight, Giannis to the Heat. Did you expect that? And what do you think about the Heat right now as currently constituted?
Didn't expect it. I thought once the plan kind of dribbled out from the Celtics that they were going to include Jaylen Brown in that offer. That's something that's tough to walk back. And so I kind of just assumed the Celtics were pot committed at that point, and we're going to see it to the end, and we're going to be the winners of this trade. The fact that the Bucks ultimately accepted the Heat's offer was a surprise. I assume now the Celtics have a Jaylen Brown problem and will, take 70-60 cents on the dollar for him, maybe not even get a player back who can contribute meaningfully this year. But as far as the Heat go, this doesn't look like a very good team to me at all.
They need bodies.
This looks like they need bodies. And like there's a world where Norman Powell walks out the door and who's dribbling, who's shooting, who's creating? Davion Mitchell?
Yeah.
Congratulations, Davion Mitchell. You're the most important point guard in basketball. Like this is a very, very lean team in terms of creation. And I don't know, it's tough to find the type of players that you need to put around, a Giannis-centric, construction. You can't find those guys on the street. Like it's gonna, and they're strapped. They're at the first apron. And Giannis is an injury question mark to me. I don't know that you can, it's impossible not to see a roster with Giannis and understand that there is a high ceiling, right? There's certainly a high ceiling where this team comes together, they play well, Spo's a master, full coach, and they exceed expectations and they're in the mix to win the East. But it's also very easy to look at this roster, especially if Norm Powell leaves, and say they might stink. This is definitely it's definitely a competitive Eastern kind of conference middle class right now. If we blink and it's February and the Heat are like in 10th and we're like, man, they need to go on a run here, or they're in the play-in again after giving up all of these assets, like I'm not going to be surprised. There's too many good teams in the middle class of the East right now. And I don't know that you can put like a neutral rating on the Heat that's that much better than certainly not better than the Pistons, certainly not better than the Celtics. The Knicks were the biggest winner of today. We can maybe circle back on that in a minute, but I think the Heat are kind of clustered with Cavs, Pacers, Hawks, Hornets, right? Like these teams are all going to be kind of right in that like kind of +2 range. Unless, the gravity of Miami as a destination brings a lot of other good players just to come and play for a discount. Because outside of that reality, I'm not sure that that there's enough bodies really to be competitive.
Yeah, it's pretty bold in 2026, Drew, to trade for your best 3-point shooters. And I'm going to include Powell as being off the roster following this in that group. Yeah. And then to back it up even further, to now add Bobby Portis with Giannis, to go with Bam Adebayo and just go straight big man. I don't know where the shooting is coming. So with that, Boston +225 favorite to win the East. The Knicks 3-1, the Heat are 6-1, Pistons 10-1, Indiana 12-1. Cleveland feels crazy long at 13-1, Philly 19-1. How do you power rank the East in order, and where does Miami exactly fit in here?
Yeah, so kind of going back to what I was just alluding to, the biggest winners of today is the New York Knicks. How these fans are running so pure, I would love to know. I'd love some of that juice, give me some of that run pure, because they are running so hot right now. Not only did the Celtics not get Giannis, but the Celtics also fractured their relationship with Jaylen Brown in the process of not getting Giannis. So congratulations. The Celtics have to be downgraded meaningfully. And the Knicks should be the number one with the bullet in the East right now. They're running it back with a team that obviously has exactly the right recipe for playoff best of 7 success. Will they be as effective in next year's playoff pursuit as they were this year remains to be seen, but you have to give them right now the slight edge. I would put Celtics 2. I would put Pistons 3, and I would put Celtics and Pistons pretty close. I think there's absolutely a world where Pistons are a bigger problem in the East than people realize next year. I would put, for me, Cavs 4. I would put Pacers 5. I would put Heat 6. And there's not much separating those teams. And then I have Hornets 7, Magic 8, Hawks 9. Not much separating those teams. So there's still a lot to be sorted here. And there's kind of and the Heat are kind of smack there in that mix of 5 to 9, in my opinion. And again, like, I can't believe it. 32-year-old Norm Powell, if he doesn't walk through that door and come back and play for you, you are all of a sudden back against the wall. How are you fielding a competitive squad? And that's a crazy place to be, considering what you just had.
Yeah, they got apron problems with him, so they may not be able to retain Norm Powell.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's amazing.
By the way, Brosec 1870 giving me a hard time. He says the disrespect, not including NBA Cup MVP in Giannis's resume, is shocking. Gil, you've been to the event. Have some respect. I know, you're right. We were there. Well, we were at the event anyway. That's right. Okay, to the NBA draft tonight, Drew. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's settled. Yes. Question mark.
I guess I don't have any tea that there's going to be some come from the clouds surprise, but I also don't think that anybody is like really all that happy with where they're picking or who they're getting. It's almost like the sorting has been done and everybody's just going to go along with it, as opposed to like these are the players that these teams really want, which, maybe there's a whiff of chaos that could surprise some people. I think if there's chaos, it's that the Wizards trade out of number one, and somebody comes up for AJ. But again, even that doesn't really help us because AJ would still probably be the first overall pick if someone trades into that slot. There were whiffs and rumors that the Wizards were the most excited about Cameron Boozer out of these three players, but are certainly not going to take him one. So thanks a lot, Wizards. I think Utah and Darren Peterson have come to an understanding that he will go play in Utah and that he fits with that team. So that seems reasonable. Cam Boozer going then to Memphis as the odd man out who has to go play in Memphis seems likely. And Caleb Wilson going 4 also seems pretty likely to me. Now, I don't think any of those are so sure that it's worth laying any of this, chalk. These prices imply more certainty than I think exists. So I'm kind of out of the mix on this.
Yeah, there is a non-zero chance here that this could not happen, obviously. So it depends what your stomach is for these kinds of prices at this point. More with Drew on the draft, including who he thinks the draft starts with at number 5, what bets he has, by the way, what bets are still available that he would make. And again, the pairing, what team, if that particular player X, let's call him, if he's available, they will absolutely pick, because you can get long odds on that kind of stuff. Coming up, Numbers Game, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. So quadruple header today, again, in the World Cup. That's groups K and L. That's how many groups there are. K and L. Portugal, Uzbekistan kicking things off this morning. Then it's the 2 Group L games, which Drew has already told us he has a play in them. He's England win to 0 versus Ghana. That one's in Foxborough. Portugal matches in Houston. Then the other Group L game, which is the 2 0-point games, 2 0-point teams, I should say. Panama and Croatia went over 2.5 goals in that one. That's in Toronto. And then the night closes out. The second game of the group stage, the final one tonight, Group K, Colombia and the Democratic Republic of Congo. That's in Guadalajara. By the way, beautiful stadium there in Guadalajara. Tomorrow begins the very interesting game 3s of the group stage because there's all kinds of motivations. Some teams are through already. Some teams need it desperately. Some teams will be okay with a draw. Drew is kind enough to join us here for an extra few minutes here to talk World Cup tomorrow and then Wimbledon. You do have a play in something tomorrow, Drew?
Yeah, I was going back to looking it up. I laid the goals with Bosnia over Qatar. I think Qatar is absolutely
not good, not
dreadful.
Good.
Yeah. Just a dreadful team. I would lay 1.5 goals there and be pretty comfortable that you're going to get Bosnia through 2-0, 3-0. And then in Scotland, Brazil, I think Scotland is going to play one of the ugliest and most defensive games that we've seen to date in the World Cup. Brazil, not enough quality in the midfield to, I think, create chances for their offense. So that to me is an under. And I think a 0-0 draw is in play. And if not 0-0, you're talking about Brazil 1-0. So Brazil to win to 0 and draw, knowing that you have 2 chances there is the way I split my stake. Draw was plus 480, 458, which again doesn't really kind of comport with how aggressively defensively Scotland is going to be rostered in that one.
Drew, I'm just curious, as the markets move for the futures to win this whole thing, have you thought about jumping in on anyone now that we've seen the way some of these teams have played? You got France still the favorite 4-1. They were kind of right there with Spain. Spain's now up to 5.5. England 6-1. Argentina all the way down to 6-1 after these performances. Have you thought about jumping in on anyone post-flop here?
I think that's your final 4, and I don't think it's really going to be a close call. I think the way that they set up this format with the 48 teams playing and the 32 teams qualifying and basically kind of the dilution of the quality of teams in the pools, everybody is going to land where they're supposed to land in the draw. And that is actually going to set up France, Spain. France, there were some questions in my mind about them getting by Germany in the round of 16, but now that Germany has lost their center back, Germany's a write-off for me. I think France comes through that one pretty cleanly and faces Spain on the top half of the draw. And then on the bottom half of the draw, it looks like Argentina, England come through and face in the semifinals. And because I rate England as a better team than Argentina, but they have to go through Mexico City in playing Mexico and then turn right around and play presumably a Brazil or Morocco team in Miami. That is going to be a very, very tough back-to-back and is going to put a ton of fatigue on the England legs. And their prize for coming through that gauntlet is then drawing a relatively fresh Argentina team in Atlanta. So Argentina, that this, is kind of my expected, knockout bracket before the World Cup started. My biggest bet on any futures pool for the World Cup is Argentina to reach the final at plus 440. I have them to win the title at 11-1. I'm feeling a little bit nervous that you're not going to see Messi be able to continue this run of goal scoring once they run up against tougher competition, and they're going to need some of their younger legs to step up and help, kind of reinforce. But Argentina is incredibly deep. Like they have guys who are not finding the pitch in these matches who, would, start on the fourth best team in the country. I mean, in the world. So it's amazing the amount of depth that Argentina has. And I think ultimately they could win number 4.
Drew Dinsick hates America. That's what I got out of that segment. Hates America. Yeah, it's very clear. By the way, Pete Futak, our college football guy, he had a tweet yesterday. You never know what's going to just explode on Twitter. He wrote, because he's not a soccer guy, he's like, he goes, honest question. He goes, if Messi is this good, how is it that he's only playing in the MLS? He got like millions of hits.
Oh, he chose that. He chose that life.
Well, as people sort of informed it, but it was just fascinating to see what explodes in terms of the World Cup. And that kind of question from the innocent American perspective who doesn't know soccer that well. All right, Drew, to Wimbledon, because we won't have the pleasure of having you.
Can we, before we go
please,
on,
yes, please.
I got a different take on that.
Absolutely, please. Yes.
Nobody's really asking the actual important question. How is the guy who lives in Florida, where we're like the anti-aging capital of the universe, is able to do this at age 38?
Sorry.
Turns 39 tomorrow. Doesn't look like he's aging to me.
You connect the dots. Okay, let's do 2 minutes on each of these. The men's side, no Carlos Alcaraz. Jannik Sinner is your favorite. Is anybody winning this besides him? Would you bet on anybody to win this besides him?
I would not. I think your two kind of most likely non-Sinner winners are Djokovic and Zverev. Djokovic has proven to be pretty wildly out of form. Could not beat, João Fonseca, despite having like 70 winners in that match. That is a bad sign that he went out at the French Open that way. And then Zverev, to me, looks like he's playing through some pretty meaningful injury. The fact that he couldn't defeat Fritz in Halle, and Fritz is not playing very well right now. Like, just, rewatch some of the lowlights of his performance against Francis in the final there. He is very, very beatable, and Zverev couldn't pull it off. So I'll go down with the ship again, I guess, but not seeing a world where Sinner loses Wimbledon.
Final question on the men's side. If Djokovic does not win Wimbledon, that's it. He's never winning another slam, correct?
I would say so, yes.
Okay. All right.
I don't know how many more. We're probably on there probably should be more speculation about is this his last Wimbledon.
Yeah. It's definitely like last 3 probably, right? At the most. I'm thinking.
Certainly last 3.
Yeah.
Yes, certainly last 3. Yeah. Then there's a world where this is it.
Yeah. Women's side, by the way, 24 slams. Let's, it's been just the greatest men's career by that measure anyway in history. Okay, women's side, much more of a free-for-all. Iga's the defending champ. No one saw that coming, except for those of us who bet it, right? 9-1 last year. But it is a free-for-all. I mean, I think you can go 10 ladies deep on this and make a case. You?
10 is tough, actually, because as you get down to 8, 9, 10, I'm not really sure how much of a realistic chance I'm giving some of these gals. Absolutely, your top 5, I think, is pretty clear. It for me goes Sabalenka, Iga, Rybakina, 1, 2, 3. Pegula would be my 4th, although her performance at the end of Berlin was concerning. I think Svitolina belongs 5 right now. I would put Andreeva Goff 6, 7, and then Noskova and Iva Jovic, I thought, deserves some consideration in your top 10.
Right.
But I don't think she can realistically win the title. So I think I draw my line probably after Goff.
All right. Well, you still got about 7, 8, 9 deep. So, okay. Realistically, 7, you said. Okay.
7. Yeah.
And nobody else. So there's nobody who can come out of left field. The I don't know, the
Hans Jabors of the grass specialists
That's right.
of the world.
That's right. It won't be Marketa Vondrasova this year. I'll tell you that much. By the way, 4-year ban. Are they ridiculous with that? 4 years. Stop it.
I got to imagine cooler heads will prevail
Yes,
at some point, and they will reduce that. That was a little ridiculous. Yeah, Ayala. Did you mention her?
I did. I just said Alex Ayala. Yeah.
Yeah, her grass numbers are top 10, which is kind of surprising.
Yes, they are.
I don't know that her breakout is coming. I'm not warm on Anisimova or Paolini or Mukova. If there's a come from the clouds, you know who it is.
Hold on, let me
It's
think.
Karolina Pliskova.
Oh, dude,
Pliskova.
Yeah. Okay.
Pliskova. Her serve has some timing and some pace. I was surprised she didn't win Nottingham. She plays very well there. And it would be obviously a career achieving moment. She is, of course, former world number one, never won a slam. I would just generally celebrate it, even though I'm not like a huge Pliskova fan. It would be cool if she actually finally got one.
Yeah, 34 years old, got to the finals at Wimbledon in 2021, got to the finals of the U.S. Open, but as you said, semis in the other two slams, never won a slam, former world number one back in the day. Oh, former world number one? Yeah. What year was that? Oh, 2017.
Oh, man.
Jeez. For Karolina Pliskova, who, by the way, had a sister on tour, Christina Pliskova. We don't hear from her much, but Karolina Pliskova doing her thing. I like it. Drew, I did keep you for a whole segment. My apologies. I'm a complete liar.
All good, guys.
Thank you so much. Sorry you can't be here later this week, but we appreciate you chiming in now. Thank you, sir.
Bet.
Drew
Go
Dinsick.
Argentina.
Go Argentina. Drew Dinsick at whale_capper is where you can find him on Twitter. Again, The Deep Dive with Andy Molitor, Bet the Edge with Jay Croucher, his 2 podcasts.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
20 leagues, 1 mission, just win bets, baby. Your premier source for daily sports betting picks. They break down the data so you can bet with confidence across the entire sports betting calendar. Scan the QR code or visit justwinbetsbaby.com today. Start betting smarter with Just Win Bets Baby. Name says it all. Gil Alexander, Dustin Sweetelson. We were talking about earlier the Golden Boot race. And again, the record for the most goals ever in a World Cup, 13 goals scored back in the day, 1958 back in the day by Just Fontaine. The 1958 World Cup scored 13 goals. Well, Messi's got 5 through 2 games. Kylian Mbappe has 4. Erling Haaland has 4. Both, or all 3 of those guys, once again for the second day already in this World Cup, went multiple goals. And we were talking to Mitch, had a 132-1 on this.
Absolutely insane.
What was that macro stat that you had on this?
Okay, so this is from Pickett. They put this out there on the Messi, Mbappe, Haaland 2+ goal parlay that a lot of people were on. Mitch had a huge hit on it. $5.1 million won on 5,300 bets that were won in that. 5.1 million. Paulie, when I was on with him yesterday, he brought it up. He goes, do you want to do the FOMO parlay where you're going to have FOMO if you don't have this? And I was like, no, I don't want to do it. Now I definitely have it.
I don't have that emotion.
I 100% have FOMO now.
Paul Gard joins us now from True Media Networks and to talk World Cup. Paul, it's just that easy, huh? Bet the stars to score goals left and right.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm bothering to handicap or figure out what's going to happen.
I know.
Goal scorers score goals. Bye, thanks.
That's how I felt about the draws early in this. I'm like, oh, this is so easy. Just bet draw every game. This is the greatest thing ever. Yeah, man. I mean, but it is it is awesome though that the greatest players in the world are all coming through. And for those of us who are not soccer hardos like you are, it's sort of like you watch it, you're like, wow, like these guys are that much better than everybody else. They can just do this at will. That's how it feels anyway.
Yes. My 11-year-old daughter, not a huge sports fan. She knows like 4 players. One of them is Erling Haaland. He's the tall guy with the ponytail.
Yeah.
And she wants to watch his games. So she's watched both of them. He scored twice and she's just kind of like, oh, that's just what he does. She just expects it.
Just what he does. All right. We have our final game 2s, if you will, tonight or today, all day long, starting with Uzbekistan and Portugal. Do you have anything in this one?
I do. This one starts in 45 minutes or so. I have the under. I got this at plus 170 last night. It's been drifting the other way. I'd probably play it down to plus 150 or so. This is essentially a bet against Portugal, and Portugal is the big team I would be most concerned about after one game because they are so Ronaldo-centric, and Ronaldo is like their 9th best player on the field, and that's a problem for their attack. So I'm not convinced that Portugal can get goals because, again, their best way of attacking is to use their midfield, which might be the best of the tournament, and get their wingers going. They've been pretty bad too. So I don't know that they can do that. Uzbekistan's going to defend and try to hang on and not lose this one by much, maybe scratch out a draw. So I just think this one's going to be a tight, low-scoring game. I'm not convinced Portugal can figure out how to break down Uzbekistan. So I have under 2.5. I got it at plus 170.
How about, based on what we just talked about, the book's scared about another big parlay. Ronaldo anytime goal, minus 240, 2+ goals, plus 192. That feels super short.
Dustin is trying to hammer Ronaldo into this. Yeah. Let's make it happen.
I'm not interested in that at all.
That is
just
crazy.
Been so not good. I mean, the case for it is obviously he can score goals. Portugal is revolving their offense around him, whether they should or not, trying to get him the ball. You can almost see the players' brains figure out, how can I get this to Ronaldo instead of doing what I really ought to do a lot of the time. So I'm staying away from it. Some of that's personal bias. Some of it's I'm just not convinced Ronaldo still has much left.
So wait, they are doing that by design, because I heard a lot of the criticism I heard was people saying Ronaldo is just playing selfishly. You're more in the former.
It's both. I mean, they're trying to feed him, but Thierry Henry did a great breakdown of Ronaldo should have made this run and not cut back to get the ball that he cut off and took an awkward shot when there was a guy right behind him who could have slammed at home. So it's a bit of both, in that Ronaldo was hunting the ball, but they're also just trying to. It reminds me of, it'd be like an outdated NBA offense where you're trying to like run through the big slow center, run everything through them, and it would just kind of clog everything up. That's sort of what they're doing on the soccer level.
We got to get the ball to Gilmore. Artist Gilmore needs the ball. That's right.
Right. Mark Eaton. Come on, let's go.
I feel like I had triples of Mark Eaton's card growing up in the 90s. All right, I do have a goal bet in England and Ghana. Now, it's the Super Square new bet. I bet Harry Kane first goal scorer in this one, but in terms of the matchup, we're looking at England minus about 525, 15-1 on Ghana, 6-1 for a draw. Total sitting at 2.5 with the over juiced at minus 155. Paul, would you do anything with this match?
It's nothing I love here. I mean, England was the most impressive team in the first set of group games, and I like them to win this one by a couple, but I think minus 1.5 was still like minus 175 or something when I checked. So not too interested in that. But if you had to do something, I would lean England. I would lean goals in this matchup, but I think it's priced appropriately right now.
All right, this is interesting. Switzerland and Canada. So this is one of these interesting motivational game threes where Switzerland and Canada could just agree, right? They'd be like, hey, let's just have a draw. We both get through, no problem. They're probably getting through anyway. But it is, there is some incentive to be first place, I guess, right? Obviously based on matchups in the knockout. So how are you playing this?
Yeah, this is a tricky one. And there's some of these that could just blow up in your face and you realize 5 minutes or maybe 80 minutes in that this probably didn't work out. But I like Switzerland in this, just a straight win at plus 140. Switzerland has to win the group. Canada would win the group with a win or draw. There's not a giant difference in the matchups. You play a first place team or a runner up team from Group A, or not Group A, but whichever group it is. So it's not a huge difference. The one incentive Canada does has, if they win the group, they play at home. They would play in Vancouver for a game, possibly too. But Switzerland's just so much better. And Canada is just decimated by injuries. Alphonso Davies, their best player, probably is not going to play. Moise Bombito, their best center back, is just coming back from injury, might play part of the game. And maybe there's two starting midfielders, perhaps most importantly. Eustáquio and Kone are both, well, one is definitely out. Kone broke his leg in the last match. Eustáquio hasn't trained fully yet. And that's really where Switzerland's strength is, in controlling that midfield. So I really see Switzerland controlling this game. Canada will kind of revert back to their defense first mentality and try to hit Switzerland on the break. So I like Switzerland just to straight win this at plus 140.
What about Japan and Sweden? I feel like people are going to confuse Sweden and Switzerland when people want to bet on these teams. But either way, Japan minus 110, Sweden plus 330, 2.5-1 for a draw. How do you want to play this one? And this game is on Thursday.
Yeah, I like Japan a lot in this one. They've looked really good so far. They played Netherlands to a standstill in a 2-2 draw, and then just rolled over Tunisia in the other game, scoring 4 goals. And look, Sweden barely qualified. They had get through this backdoor qualifying way to get here because their defense is terrible and it looked terrible against Netherlands. And Japan is not that far off Netherlands. So I think Japan can just carve up this Swedish defense just like Netherlands did. Netherlands beat Sweden 5-1. I'm not saying Japan's going to go out and hang 5 on Sweden, but I think they will control just about everything in this game, do more or less what they want, be able to shut down Sweden. They do have a couple potent attackers to Sweden, but Japan's just better all over the field. So I like Japan to win this one. I got a -105. Anything close to even money, I'd jump on.
And nothing on the Colombia Congo game tonight. Nothing on that.
Not really. I mean, I like Colombia a lot in general. I picked them to win this group. They're in a good position to do so after Portugal dropped points against Congo. But yeah, I don't have anything specific to play on this one.
Can I ask you about the United States on Friday? Yes. Yeah, this is one of these weird things too, right? So USA has clinched first place in Group D. Turkey is out completely, correct? They're done. And yet they have to play 90 minutes plus of soccer. Do you come anywhere near that?
I'm not. No, is the short answer. I'm not touching this game. I would guess the U.S. may change all 11 starters or pretty close to it. Turkey, I have no idea what they're going to do. It's a byproduct of this new tiebreaker system where head-to-head is the first tiebreaker, that you have a couple of games like this where one team is clinched, the other one's out. So yeah, it's going to be a very strange fan experience. I'm watching the U.S. play in a World Cup game, and it means nothing, and I have no bets on it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's very weird. I'm not skipping it, of course, but it's one of those, like, this is like a March friendly almost that really doesn't matter that much.
Speaking of the U.S., can you help me understand why everyone hates our guy, Alexi Lawless, American hero? I mean, they're kicking him off the set. They're celebrating him not being there. Why does everyone not like Lawless?
Yeah, there's a couple people that it's like every 4 years they post the same hatchet piece about it. I mean, the thing, Fox is trying to kind of split the atom, split the something with your Rebecca Lowe, Thierry Henry, who are a little more pensive from a broadcaster standpoint and their style, and Alexi Lawless, who is kind of the more Fox bombastic style, and it doesn't always play well together. But it's some of it's just personal preference. Like, what are you looking for? And there's different kinds of things. I like Alexi a lot. I'm a little biased. I've worked with him a lot. He's always been very good to me. But trying to fit those two very different styles of broadcasting together is a challenging thing. And it kind of just brings out the worst in what people do or don't want to see.
Yeah, I'm not a fan, but I have trouble articulating why.
See, I don't mind it because I like that he stirs it up. And I feel like we got to defend the American here against the foreigners on our soil.
Right. Man loves
America. It's a little style over substance, but, again, different people have different flavors they like.
That's true. That's what makes the world go round. Different strokes for different folks. I got more cliches coming up. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it.
You bet. See you guys.
Paul Carr, everybody. Portugal, Uzbekistan, under 2.5 from him. That one starts in just over a half hour.